update. And welcome. And if there are others that are going to speak, if you'd kind of queue up in the aisle, that'd be wonderful. Welcome, and state your name for the record, and good to have you here.
Daryl Rutherford, 1908 Penny Place. I'm also the Executive Director of the Sacramento Housing Alliance. It's good to see you guys all here again tonight. Sacramento Housing Alliance, again, just want to clarify, I don't want the name to confuse anyone. We are the affordable voice and for homelessness and for affordable housing throughout the greater Sacramento region. And not only am I here tonight as a resident, but as the Executive Director of the organization. But I stand here tonight a little confused as to why a progressive community like Davis is no longer taking a lead within the greater Sacramento region in addressing our need for affordable homes. Instead, you're taking a playbook from the county and city of Sacramento, as well as a community like West Sacramento, all doing the same thing by revising their affordable housing ordinances to benefit the development community instead of doing what's right for our community. In this time of limited public funding available for affordable housing, such as the loss of RDA, which seems to have been the panacea for financing affordable housing here in Davis, the city should be putting the onus back on the market rate developers to meet our affordable housing needs. But instead, we see you cutting back their obligations and putting the onus back onto the city to meet that need. Now you're asking us what the city needs to do to meet that affordable housing obligations. First, revise the affordable housing ordinance back to what it was prior to the revisions made last summer. Put the onus back on those who benefit from developing homes in Davis. Secondly, send the draft housing element back to staff for further revisions. This way you can get true public participation, not just a few comments from some planning and social service commissioners and a handful of homeless stakeholders. Make it a true public process by working with us and our partners to help with outreach so you can gather the kind of feedback you need to make an educated, informed decision based on the whole community's needs and desires. Also, don't fear a 4-year cycle. It's an opportunity to do what's right. A 4-year update isn't going to put us back that far here. Davis needs more affordable housing options for young professional families like teachers, nurses, and low-wage workers like those working at Target, fast food restaurants, and all those servers at the yogurt shops. At a time when California is showing increasing economic and fiscal strength and a budget that is in the black for the first time in a decade, this good news is tempered by the growing severity of an age-old California problem. The private housing market is not providing an adequate number of homes affordable to low and moderate income households. There is a shortfall of over 900,000 homes affordable and available to California's lowest income households. Median rents in California have increased by over 20% from 2000 to 2012, while the median income dropped by 8%, significantly driving up the percentage of income that California households must spend on rent. The percentage of low-income households that are severely rent-burdened has increased dramatically since the year 2000. And the foreclosure crisis has greatly increased the number of renter households driving up rents, yet failing to make home ownership accessible to low-income households. I'm going to leave tonight with parting words of a wise young lady, if you don't remember. Let me reread some wise words from a very young lady, but a very articulate one at that. Homes are very important. They keep us out of harm. They give us shelter. Homes are what our family provides for us. Everyone should be thankful that they have a home. Just think if you were one of those who didn't have a home. How would you feel? So many families here in Davis are just one financial emergency from being homeless. It's incumbent upon 5 of you to do what's right for the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Okay, I'm sorry, I could do it. I do it over, I'll do it over, I'll do it over. We don't have clapping in the chambers. It's a decorum issue, so thank you, but if we could refrain for the rest of the evening. Welcome.
My name is Rob Davis. Mayor Cavoza and members of the council, I understand the challenges that we as a city face in providing and maintaining our affordable housing stock in the post-RDA world. I also understand the need to create plans, in this case the update to the housing element, that are accountable to state and regional government guidelines and requirements. But I am concerned that using approaches like counting accessory dwelling units, ADUs, as part of our affordable housing stock are less than honest and do not reflect a true commitment to meet our obligations. Because there's no accountability structure in place to assure that such units are indeed rented at affordable rates, we cannot with integrity count them as contributing to affordable housing goals. Further, affordable by design does not equal de facto or real affordability. I've been troubled by this move since it came into effect. It leads to clear watering down of our affordable housing commitments and does not advance creative problem solving in our post-RDA reality. Again, I realize the challenge you and staff face, and I understand there may be negative implications for the city if we do not reach obligations. At the same time, I feel it would be better to acknowledge the challenges we are currently facing and commit to a process of finding solutions given current constraints. I would ask you to move in that direction tonight. Ultimately, though we want to be accountable to broader state and regional entities, we must first and foremost be accountable to ourselves and our vision for the kind of city that we desire to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, very much.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ileana Chavez. I'm here representing Rachel Escott, CEO of Mutual Housing California. I do want to just, make it clear and kind of obvious that, we are the developer of New Harmony, which was counted in your guys' last planning period, and it's also being counted this time around for 2013 through 2021. Housing element. And so in a sense, it's showing like that discrepancy that, that there is the lack of affordable housing. You should see the waiting list that we have on all of our properties here in Davis, the 5 properties that we have. We do have waiting lists for the 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, and we just can't get them because, well, people aren't moving, and at the same time, there's not enough. And so if Davis needs more affordable housing here, not only for the students, but also just families who want to be able to enjoy the Davis kind of lifestyle that they have here. They know it's a safe place, and they just know the reputation of Davis. So being able to have something where they can live peacefully and be able to save money for not only their children, be able to just advance in their lives, and just home is where it all starts. So just reconsider that, not only that it's saving your guys' budgets or whatever the case may be, but it's people that it's being affected by this. So we need more affordable housing in Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I took away your clapping, too, because I know it would have happened.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Jessica Merrill. I'm the Communications Director at the Sacramento Housing Alliance, and I'm also a resident of Davis. I live at 2225 Glacier Drive, number 45. I'm here to ask you to strengthen the housing element and its commitment to low-income workers in need of affordable housing, and asking you to assure that the housing element's compliance with state law is intact by meeting affordable housing requirements. As you know, last summer, City of Davis's model inclusionary housing ordinance was changed to include accessory dwelling units as affordable housing at a 2-to-1 ratio. We believe that this set a dangerous precedent that could snowball throughout the region. These units, commonly known as granny flats, are most commonly used as home offices, and when they are rarely used for housing, many are rented at upwards of $1,500 for a small unit. This isn't affordable. The ordinance requires no regulation on these units, no enforcement to ensure that they're rented to low-income people, or that persons of color aren't discriminated against. Davis was a regional leader in inclusionary housing. Now Davis is at the bottom. 67% of workers commute to Davis from nearby cities. These people are from Woodland, Sacramento, Vacaville, and West Sacramento who can't afford to live here. People deserve to live in the communities in which they work. Not only does this foster a sense of community, it cuts down on carbon emissions, something Davis should strive for. Again, please strengthen the Davis Housing Element's commitment to low-income workers in need of affordable housing and assure the housing element's compliance with state law by meeting affordable housing requirements. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Bernie Goldsmith, and I'm co-chair for the Raise the Wage Davis Initiative campaign. Our attempt is to raise the minimum wage in Davis, California to $15 an hour. And I'm here speaking in support of the Sacramento Housing Alliance and urging the City Council to please make low-income housing for workers, for low-income workers, part of their plan. One of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, and one of the reasons why they do what they're doing, is because we have a class of people in this town who work very hard, yet they're paid so little and expenses are so high for them that we expect them to do the work that they do and still subsist on handouts. We expect these people to work invisibly in our communities, to serve us food while eating our table scraps, to clean our yards, to care for the elderly that we cannot. Yet we can't somehow as a society work together the resources to give them a decent living wage, a decent housing accommodation, and other decent amenities that we would expect to give to anybody who works full-time. It's my opinion that we as a city have an economic imperative to take care of the people who work for us. We as a city have a moral imperative to make sure that our policies align, to make sure that these people have a decent spot in our community. We as a community have to start paying attention to those who serve us, those who work among us, who live in terrible deprivation. Part of my campaign involves talking to workers who serve us food, workers who do things that we take for granted often. You might not know that the person making your pizza has no choice but to eat only pizza. The person serving you at the mustard seed has no choice but to eat the table scraps that you leave behind. You don't know the deprivation that the person caring for your elderly mother has to go through. I'm here speaking to urge the City Council to remember these members of our community, these people who need our support and our help, and to shift your policies to make sure that our housing element allows for sufficient low-cost housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie, very much. Welcome.
Hi. My name is Sean Raycraft. I am the other co-chair of the Raise the Wage Davis campaign. I'm here to speak on behalf of working people here in Davis. I know personally what it is like to be working poor in this town. It is very, very hard knowing that 60% of your check at the end of the month is going towards rent. That is a very difficult economic obstacle for anybody to worry about, much less somebody with a family or with someone who's sick or has a car that breaks down. So what I'm asking the council to do is to take these economic policies that are proposed here by Sacramento Housing Alliance and consider the working poor people of this town. As nobody who works hard and plays by the rules deserves to live in poverty. So that's all I really have to say about that. Thank you for your time.
Good. Thank you, Sean. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. My name is Don Fouts. I'm here to talk in support of the inclusionary housing, inclusion of the ADUs. I do believe that by sheer design, by size, it will be affordable. The documented, they're renting not for $1,500, but closer to the $900 range. I would like to see you encourage other developments to include even more ADUs, even above and beyond the 2-for-1 credits, because they can be integrated into the projects, create more affordable housing, a nicer integrated community in the overall design, including the smaller for-rent units. I think that you will not find, one of the arguments has been posted, is you're going to get 3 or 4 students in there. That's not going to happen because the person that owns the main single-family dwelling, primarily live right next to it, is not going to put up with that. That we're going to typically, when they are rented, and they won't be rented 1-for-1, they'll be rented at that 2-for-1 ratio. And I think that's a really fair balance for counting them in the inclusionary housing. But they're going to be rented to single parents. They're going to be rented to married grad students. They're not going to be rented to multiple students. Primarily also, they're going to be, at least in the particular project, Child's Ranch, that I'm speaking for, is we're away from downtown campus. They're not going to be rented to students primarily. They're going to be rented to families. So I'd like to have you think that it is a positive addition to the affordable housing, inclusionary housing, and now as you consider it in your housing update. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Don.
My name is Neil Rude, and I am here to echo a lot of the points you've already heard before about concerns regarding affordable housing here in Davis, specifically these granny units. I'm not going to go into detail about low-income workers. You've heard a lot about that. You've heard about the 25% of our population that doesn't earn enough really to live in this town, even though they are. But I want to bring up another point, which is, one of the things that the city has been trying to do for a long time is encourage students to stick around, is to encourage people who work here to stay here, people that lived here to continue living here. I've actually been following the Cannery Project for a long time. I used to live on L Street near Nugget and would look over there, and one of the things that I was encouraged by was the affordable housing. As we all know, the arts are struggling in this town. Students don't stick around because there's not affordable housing. We've done a lot of things in the city to encourage students to stick around. We have Davis Roots, things like that, but it's really not enough if students can't afford to stick around and live here, especially if their first jobs out of college these days are low-income jobs where they can't afford to live in this town. So I would encourage you to re-examine how you are approaching affordable housing in this town so that it is done in a manner that will actually create affordable housing and not these hard-to-regulate granny units where you really don't know how much they're going to go for or who's going to be living in them. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Neil. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Lucy Roberts, and I just moved to Davis this summer, but I had lived here from 2000 to 2006. Don Fouts actually built our home. And I guess the reason why I decided to stand up and talk is I just wanted to let the council members know that you're not just regional leaders. This town is looked at by towns all across the country. The town that I lived in Winter Park, Florida, we study your policies. We look at the progressive work that you do. And one of the things that you've always done, that when I had my house built by Don Fouts with the Evergreen development, is I was coming from Florida at that time too, amazed that this city was progressive enough to include an element of providing affordable housing within the greater development. And when I moved back and now see that you're using these accessory units and considering that they are affordable housing, I just think that you're stepping so far back. And you're sort of stepping into where other people are trying to get out of. And I want to ask the city to maintain its spirit and its soul that so many people admire and are working toward. And part of that is honoring and respecting and acknowledging and working towards providing affordable housing along with the other housing units. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy, very much. Welcome back.
Hi, Michael Shearer. I've been living in Davis since '96. I think there's a couple things that come up for me. One is the kind of supply and demand. I think that more supply always helps. So, and I think it's also ecologically sound that infill is really important, and that should be a part of every development, discussion. Infill both in terms of if the lots are zoned R2, or if you're in the core area where you can have a granny flat, which will increase supply, that will help with affordable housing. Also, I know that there are limits to the height, but 3 stories in areas would really help multi-use, and I see some of that downtown, which is really nice, but I'd like to see more of that where you can have mixed use, and smaller units are really important because a lot of people can get by with a small unit, and then of course it'll be cheaper because it's smaller. The last point is that I have 2 friends that they're barely getting by with young kids. They have master's degrees. They're looking for work, and it's a desperate situation. So I just want to get back to, the heart and soul of the matter is that these are people's lives, and they have kids, and it can be pretty desperate. So it's a huge issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Tim Honeycutt. I'm a resident here. I graduated in 2012 from UC Davis, and I still live here in town. And I echo much of what has been said, so I am another voice on that lines. But what I want to add and kind of add to the mix is, without implying that you are, as I'm not, but I want to make sure we're not over or underestimating the effect of how something like this can permeate through the kind of just the social atmosphere and what it means, what Davis is. I mean, I grew up in Placerville in high school, and I had even known from there that Davis had this sense of progressivism, the sense of progressivism that I would find a lot of Republicans would even be a fan of in ways, frankly, being that my family is all Republican. But I imagine myself and other people like me if these accessory dwelling units are counted as affordable housing and things of the like, the sense, the reputation can permeate in a very negative way, and I just don't want that to be underestimated. You know, all the noble, honorable things that you guys do and want to do in Davis and have done in Davis. If this is one example of what can be done and may continue to be done, it could really crumble some things. And so I just don't want that to be underestimated in the social word-of-mouth kind of way it can permeate in our city. So thank you very much.
Good. Thank you very much, Tim.